Mitch, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you, Hoppy?
I'm fine. I'm going to resist my normal temptation because otherwise...
Don't resist.
Well, I tell you why. Because I want to change the discussion a little bit. I'm actually getting a little burned out on red lights, idiots, bears, poodles, grizzlies.
Let me just be clear, though. None of that has come from this side of the Capitol.
No, you're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. But it gets said, and I go to you all for response. And you actually, I said today in the commentary, you and Tim, I think, have largely taken the high road.
Thank
on
you.
This. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. I just had Nick Casey on. You probably didn't have a chance to hear that. So I'll ask you the same thing I asked Nick. Is this going to come down to who has whether the Republican majority or the governor, who has the bigger stones in this, or is there going to be a compromise?
Well, I hope that there are compromises offered on both sides. What we want to do is, and I think what the people of West Virginia want to do, is to live within our means. And I'm going to continue, much like you say, fix the roads. We want the tagline, live within your means. And Hoppy, it resonates with people. It is the right thing to do. Today, in the Charleston Gazette, the article is about the declining population in West Virginia.
I know.
And also, we're the only state to have lost population since 1967. For 50 years, West Virginia has been in decline. And we need more money from our citizens? That makes no sense. I mean, we have a declining population and an expanding government.
Okay, the other side of that is then, are you willing to reduce spending? I know we get into an argument about how you phrase it, by $150 million in DHHR, higher ed, and public ed, because that's what you'll have to do under your plan.
And that's exactly why
And that's what you're going to do?
And that's what we're going to do. We came to the press conference. We said that's what we're going to do. You call it having stones or whatever, but I think it's the right thing to do. The cowardly thing to do, in my view, is to just say to the taxpayers of West Virginia, hey, I can't make the tough decision. Give me more money, and, we'll live another day.
Then the obvious next question is, what do you cut?
Right.
From DHHR, from higher ed, and public ed?
Right.
And can you answer that?
I can answer that we're cutting roughly $50 million in DHHR, which, let me just put that in a proper perspective for your listeners. State of West Virginia taxpayers spend $1 billion.
Right.
$1 billion. A $50 million cut is 5%.
Right.
5%. So in these difficult times, in a declining population, in an era in which West Virginia has the poorest people in America, we need to say 5%.
I know, and I'll tell you, I made that same argument to Bill Crouch yesterday, Secretary of DHHR, and he had a list. He goes, okay, What are we going to do? This senior program, this program that hurts low income, this program that involves people with disabilities. I mean, it gets hard to do.
These cuts are tough. I mean, these decisions are tough. And it's easy to come into the legislature during times in which you have some money and nobody wants to make a difficult decision and we just kick the can down the road. But here's what we do. We drive out the next generation of West Virginians, and we leave this state poorer because some legislature or some chief executive could not make the tough decisions. And I think people in general are looking for leadership that says, I may not like the situation we're in, but I respect the fact they're willing to make the tough decisions and move the state forward.
All right, let me give you the Kercheval plan here.
Okay.
Which is, I'm looking for compromise here. One is that you take the things that you all have talked about prior to the big three. And you find some one-time money and give the governor $35 million for his Save Our State Fund. And you find the money for the classroom teacher pay raise. You use that as leverage to say he's got to come to the table with more reductions. And you probably don't cut $150 million from the big three, but you find some reductions there, or you get rid of some of the exemptions to the consumer sales tax and find some money there. What about that? Does that have any?
You can talk about.
You don't like my idea.
I don't dislike it. What I would say is when we talk about finding money, the truth is every penny we find, and we talk about millions like they're nothing, that's some taxpayer in West Virginia that paid that money. And I just think, and what we would do with a plan like that would be the next year we'd come back and face the same problem. And if we make these difficult, bold, aggressive, correct decisions this year, we solve this problem. We can correct the structural problems in our budget, and we move forward with a path of growth for West Virginia, because no longer, we're not going to come back here next year and argue over somebody's going to get cut this, somebody's going to get cut this, we don't have enough money. We have to right-size this government, and it's fallen to us in this 83rd West Virginia legislature to make these decisions.
Well, if you continue down that path, and that's your path, that's fine.
It's
and
a
the
great path.
And the governor continues down his path. There is no resolution, unless strategically you all pass a budget, he vetoes it, and you have enough votes, which I'm not sure you do, because you need 60 to override a gubernatorial veto.
Right. Well, what I will say is,
because I don't think you do.
Well, from the Senate's perspective, from the Republican leadership Senate's perspective, we have the votes to bring forth a budget that lives within our means, just like every family in West Virginia does, every business has to do, and we put West Virginia on the right path to correct this problem for the long term. And whether we, as a result of that, as legislators, the voters say, gee whiz, you made too tough a decision. Those are hard decisions, and they say, we want people that are going to spend more money than we have. Then, vote us out. But at the end of the day, we will have done the right thing for the citizens of West Virginia. Now, is there areas for compromise? Certainly. We'll work with the governor.
Give me one.
Well, for instance, roads. I think roads are a great avenue to fix the roads in West Virginia. And I want to provide money and opportunities for him to utilize some tax dollars for roads. But that will be in a separate bucket, so to speak. It'll be, we've got the general revenue budget, and then we've got the special revenue accounts for roads to maintain the user fees associated with roads. I'm more than willing to work with the governor on that, and I think that's a great area. I mean, I think I would love to see your commentary about that. And
hashtag FTDR. I'm all in on that, because I do think that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense to me, because people pay a little bit more to use the service, which is the roads.
Right.
And then you build the roads, you fix the roads, you put people to work. So I'm more in on that. I mean, I'm acting like I got it.
Well, no, you've got a lot of influence, because I think you're absolutely right. You fix FTDR, you fix the roads, and then you also fix the economy. This is the solution that the Republican leadership plan, that's our plan. Fix the roads and then fix the economy for the long term, and we get out of this mess that we keep coming back to every year.
All right.
Sounds great. I think I see you embracing that.
I don't want the place to shut down, and I don't want. I don't know. I'm not a tax guy, but at the same time, I'm not a tax guy. Bill Crouch was pretty influential on me yesterday, where he went over and says, where do you find? And I said, it's only 4.5%.
Right.
Out of $1 billion. I mean, you can't find $4.5 billion out of a gigantic portion of the budget. I mean, that's a big.
Every day, all day long, I get people that come to my office and say, if you just give us $1 in this government program, we'll give you back 10, or we'll make 20 on this.
Well, if that were true,
I know.
we would be Apple, we'd be Microsoft, we'd be printing money, okay? But that's not how it works.
I agree. I completely agree. And so we have tried this process for too long in West Virginia. Our government is growing and our population is declining. It just makes no sense to continue to expand government.
Well, philosophically, if government spending in and of itself generated the kind of economic growth you hear talked about, again, we'd be exploding.
We would
just say, let's just spend more money. Just take more money out of the private sector and give it to the government. We'd have all kinds of growth. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work efficiently that way.
But that is the governor's plan. That is his plan. What you just debunked is his plan, to say we're losing population, we haven't made our budget for the past several years, so let's come in and spend more money. That's his plan, and it just absolutely, you just summarized it beautifully. It doesn't work. It's been debunked throughout history.
I would say this, though, that sometimes it is necessary to raise revenue for the services that the people want, need, and desire. So, and we haven't raised
has a role.
Except for cigarettes, we haven't raised taxes at all. In fact, we've lowered taxes for the past 20 years.
This government has continued to expand over the past 20 years. And so we have to come to a stop. It's a new day in West Virginia. Let's do this. Let's live by these 4 words. Live within your means. Like every family and every business.
I think before the session's over, I'm going to ban 2 sentences from this show. One is live within your means. The other is you can't cut your way to prosperity. I'm tired of hearing that.
Well, how about banning the words, the patient is shooting blood to the ceiling?
Oh, I like that one. I don't know. All right, Senator Mitch Carmichael, the Senate's President, good to see you. Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you.
And
It's a
thanks
pleasure.
for being good about engaging in a debate here. I
Oh, it's
appreciate it.
great. Thank you.